Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, gentlemen. We got a quick one today. I got a couple pages of notes. I've covered a little bit of this already. I'm going to burn through this here as quickly as possible so I don't do an hour-long video like yesterday, even though I think that's a lot of fun for me. Try to get this done a little quickly. And it goes a little something like this. So, if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll be picking up on a theme here, and that is my position is that I'm more sold now than I ever have been ever in my life that men and women need each other, that family is important, and that it's critical to understand all the variables of the equation when getting into a relationship with a woman, so that you can navigate the minefield and have a successful experience. And what I mean by successful is you want to be able to have a relationship where you're not taken advantage of, you're not driven into the ground financially and legally, and you don't lose your children. And I would consider that successful. Now, you could be even more successful if you guys really enjoy each other's company, if you love each other very much, and you really find enjoyment and happiness and all that. That's even better. Where I come from, the most important thing is to take care of your children. So if you get into a stage in your relationship where you kind of don't enjoy each other's company as much as maybe you think you should, it's critical that you don't just bail on each other if you have children, because the purpose of the marriage arrangement should be to sustain that relationship for the purpose of raising up healthy, strong, wholesome, complete children that don't have extremely detrimental and just terrible personality disorders going forward. So I've mentioned before that it's going to be important for you to search out women that are in a lower socioeconomic status than you are. And don't get confused. It's not that it's not the money. It's not that a woman that makes money is a bad person. This kind of goes without saying, but we got to say it. It's not because of the money. It's because of the personality traits that go along with that. In order to go out in the world and be able to make a lot of money, maintain an income of a high amount, it takes a certain amount of competitiveness, and that is going to nuclear bomb your relationship. So it's because of the status competition, the behaviors that are learned, practiced, mastered, and maintained in order to compete and endure in a competitive environment. And all that behavioral stuff you want to avoid at all costs. That is absolutely critical. You are much better off hooking up with the cute chick that works at McDonald's than you are going after the mid in attractiveness chick that's a state attorney's office lawyer or whatever it might be. I'm telling you this from personal experience. You can look at the numbers if you want to. We'll get into a little bit of that later on, but my personal experience has been right in line with all of the statistics that are published on this kind of thing, and so I've found that to be very consistent. So you don't want a competitive chick. You don't want a chick that has all these masculine traits, and you probably wouldn't be attracted to that anyway if your mother and father didn't raise you on a whole bunch of lies. If you're from a Protestant Christian family like I am, you're sitting at a massive disadvantage by the time you get to your early 20s as a man. And regardless of your income level, just your baseline understanding of the world and men and women and God and the hierarchy that's been created, your understanding of all that is probably inverted. I hate to break it to you, but your folks absolutely burned you, and your church absolutely burned you. It's fixable. You have to let your old self die, and the new you needs to be an emperor who actually wears clothes. Read the story. It's very, very effective for you to use that story as an allegory for your actual life. So, I'm here to try to get men and women together, not apart. I'm not here to just dog women and chastise men. That's not it at all. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help them. I think if we can all get together and stay together, that's a huge win for everyone, especially your children. So you can't take most men seriously. Stop taking advice from dudes who are fat slobs. Stop taking advice from dudes that are academics who are weak and have like high-pitched voices and up talk where the ending of their words and sentences goes up, like they sound like Valley Girls from Southern California. If a man is your physique is your resume, okay? So if you look like shit, if you look weak, if you're like skinny and weak, if you're a fat slob, you don't qualify to tell anybody shit because you don't even trust yourself. So if you're a normal dude like me and people are trying to give you advice, it's been said a million times, don't take advice from people who aren't in a position that you want to be in. That's absolutely true. What people don't want to say is, don't take advice from dudes who are fat slobs, and don't take advice from skinny-ass academics that don't know how to fight their way out of a wet paper bag. That would be absolutely foolish. The only people that are qualified to give you advice are people that are richer than you, that aren't trust fund babies, people that are stronger than you, not because they were born that way, but because they worked that way to achieve it and then maintain it. And then don't take advice from people who just pretend like they're smarter than you because they have a certain level of education, but they haven't actually educated themselves about how to discipline themselves in a physical environment so that they can take on another man who's bigger and stronger than them and defeat him in unarmed combat, hand-to-hand. If you don't know about that, you're fucked, homie. So do better. You're going to learn just as much, if not more, about yourself and about life and about the world and about relationships with people and about the flow of energy from one to another, from learning how to be a certified ass whooper, okay, than you would if you went to, let's say, college. At this point, I'm sure everybody knows college is a fucking joke, but if you don't, you can look into that and the numbers will speak for themselves. So yeah, you have to be a leader, and if you're going to be a leader, you can't have just wide open gaping holes in your armor for all these arrows to be shot right through directly into your heart. You got to be the emperor that actually wears clothes. So be that. Don't be weak. So there's some things that you're going to have to look for and avoid with women. Like I started out the video with, the competitiveness and the masculine behavior that goes along with having a higher income. Automatic fail. Automatic fail. Don't even go near these women. That's a self-solving problem. They won't replicate themselves by having children, and so they'll just die off and be gone. And if you will stop fucking these chicks and impregnating them, then they just disappear. You don't have to even worry about it. It's a self-solving problem. These are some of the... Once I realized how some of this actually plays out, this is the stuff that really got me to actually believe in God. Growing up in the church and having people in my family that were preachers for decades and decades and decades didn't do a goddamn thing to actually get me to believe in God. Where I actually came to the realization that God is real and that all this stuff is legit was by living in the world and being able to actually observe and then try to describe using words what is really taking place. And so when you see that these women that become super masculine, resentful, poor excuses for a woman are a problem, and then that problem is a self-solving problem as long as you don't stick your dick in them, then you're like, oh man, there's a God for sure, because this is hilarious. God is a comedian. He's laughing his ass off all the time at how funny this shit is. You think you have problems with women, but you don't. You really don't. Women are not a problem, dude. Women are so easy to figure out. The problem is your folks and your church fucking lied to you, bro. So you have to get over that. You have to let your idea of what the church is die, and then go make observations about what the church actually is. You have to let your fairy tale ideas of your parents die, and then make actual realistic observations about what your parents actually are. They're just people. They don't know shit. They're just fucking people. Okay? You can't hold them to some ridiculously overinflated high standard of perfection, because they're just people like you. They don't know fucking anything that you don't know. And it's fine. It's all good. It's not a reason to be mad at them. Being mad, being upset and angry doesn't solve it. It doesn't help. It holds you back. Don't do it. It's gay to just sit around and be mad. Don't be gay. That's not going to help you with women. That's not going to help you with your family. That's not going to help you with your church. So don't be some man version of a blue-haired, angry, resentful feminist from an Ivy League school. That's gay. Don't do it. So conflict resolution with women is much like conflict resolution in business. If you've got an idea, you've got any kind of flaw that you see, there's a liability in your structure that you can identify, and you want to solve this problem. You want to address this and correct it. The most effective way to accomplish that is with the least amount of conflict. If you have business partners, you have a board of directors, you have salespeople, sales managers, marketers, marketing managers. You've got all kinds of people that need to be sat down and adjusted. The smallest amount of conflict possible is going to take the shortest amount of time, and that's going to help you get to the answers that are going to be effective the quickest. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. And so when you encounter business people or women who are just going to bathe and moan in conflict instead of engage in actually realistic problem solving, then you know you have somebody on your team or a woman in your life that needs to be fired absolutely instantaneously. Do not waste one more fucking second on that experience. It's your fault if you keep fucking with that. And that's gay. So stop it. Next. Okay, so what you'll find more often with women than in business is that you're gonna be exposed to people that have a very volatile and unstable personality. They're gonna have probably some diagnosed mental disorders that they have medication for, or they're going to have some undiagnosed mental disorders that are very, very easy to spot. Trust me, I studied psychology in junior college. Obviously, that's a joke. But I did, though. Okay, so the most common ones now people love to talk about is NPD and BPD. So narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. A lot of times there's going to be an overlap between those two. They call it comorbidity. And comorbidity, like you have these things and they're killing you and you have more than one of them. And so they're both killing you at the same time. So it's kind of like a double whammy. And they go hand in hand. So what are the quickest ways to identify this? It's not in your best interest to tell people you think they're a borderline narcissist fucking loser. Don't waste your breath throwing pearls before swine. Stop it. Shut your mouth. It's okay to identify these things in your head and keep your fucking mouth shut. Don't engage with these people. Don't. If you're not in a position to fire them, that's fine. Shut up. They will burn themselves to the ground. If you're in a romantic relationship with one of these people, you absolutely have to, you have to be a cold-blooded executioner when it comes to getting rid of these people, because they will drag you down and drown the shit out of you and enjoy every minute of it, because that's what gives them validation. So absolutely, under no circumstances ever are you allowed to engage with these people once you know that this is going on. So what you're going to look for is, number 1, strong fear of abandonment. Number 2, instability in relationships. Number 3, impulsiveness. Okay, well, doesn't that describe all women? I mean, yeah, kinda, but no, not 100%. And we can't really just speak in absolutes all the time. I love doing it. It's great, but it's not really effective. You kind of have to be able to roll with the punches and understand that it's not so black and white all the time. Go ahead and go buy yourself a nice charcoal gray suit, because you're going to be living in a whole lot of gray area from here on out, especially once you start to understand some of the reality check that comes with looking into this red pill stuff. You're going down these interesting, topics and finding out that what you thought before isn't really how things work, and that the way things work in actuality is maybe a little disappointing comparatively. But as soon as you get over that and you can accept it and internalize that and integrate that into your personality and your decision-making process, you'll be able to hit the ground running and sprint your ass off to the finish line and be successful. You'll make way more money. You'll have way more fun. You'll enjoy your life more. You'll stop wasting time making money for other people. You'll stop wasting time putting food on the table for women that hate you. And you probably will spend less time in family court, and you'll be able to retain possession of more of your children. So do that. Execute this shit. When you see somebody's unstable, they're stressed out about being abandoned, they're impulsive, execute. I don't mean, you know what I mean. Get rid of them. So a pattern of unstable relationships is going to be easy to see. More often than not, what you will experience personally with the women that have this issue is they're going to, in the beginning, believe that you're like perfect. And then when something happens for whatever reason, it switches to the opposite, where they're suddenly believing you, who was perfect at one moment, now is like, you're not enough, you don't care enough, or you're cruel and mean, or whatever. It goes from one extreme to the other. You see that one time, I swear to God, that does not go away. That is not your job to try to handle that. You make an exit instantly. And if you don't, fuck you. Because now you're perpetuating this for everyone else in the world, okay? Stop putting your dick in these women. Get rid of them. End of story. Petulant borderline personality disorder is probably going to be the easiest to spot because it's the loudest, most rambunctious, most flamboyant, and that's, you have these angry mood swings. You have you're being treated with defiance, adversarialness, passive aggressive behavior, and you'll see this defiance and adversarialness on a vast majority of these like dating podcast type shows where it's like Whatever or Fresh and Fit or all the other people that are doing this now as well, where you'll get a panel of girls. And look for this. One of the best examples is Myron. Man, so these chicks, they actually agree with you. But their behavior pattern, their programming that they've spent their whole life reinforcing is to just disagree. They're just going to be disagreeable. They're going to be combative. They're going to be competitive and disagreeable as fuck. But they actually agree with you. They're just being disagreeable. They're just being adversarial. But if you ask them any questions and you allow them, even though it's very difficult to listen to their answers sometimes because of how irritating it is, if you allow them to actually answer these questions, what you will find is that they agree with you. They're just being disagreeable bitches. Execute instantaneously. Get rid of them. You cannot work with those people. You would never allow somebody to treat you like that if you were the employer and they were the employee. Same goes for these relationships that you're going to be getting into. You have to absolutely nuclear bomb that shit off the face of the earth. And the way that you do that is by removing yourself from the situation and never looking back. So when you're with a girl and she actually agrees with you on all this shit, but she's just being adversarial, that's satanic, man. That's why Satan is known as the adversary. You'll find that a vast majority of these Christian Protestant women actually practice Satanism in their real life. It's a heartbreaker. Not my fault, homie. I just work here. So look for that. That's going to be a rough one, but it's important. I think I skipped one note I was going to mention. No, we're good. We're making good time. Okay, so now here's a story of two marriages. What do you think you would prefer? Option A. Ex-stripper, used to be a stripper, super hot, dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, hardcore Italian immigrant family, 100% Italian, like Sicilian, dark Italian. Beautiful, thick hair, gorgeous face, wonderful body. Shitty parents, truck driver dad, personality disordered mom. They don't like each other, but they tolerate one another. They've got 2 sons and a daughter. One of the sons drowned on a family fishing trip right in front of everybody. So that caused an extreme amount of trauma in the family. That's carried forward, obviously. So ex-stripper, right? Now she's a receptionist at the front desk at the gym. You know, she's scanning people in. Have a good workout. Here's your towel. That kind of thing. Just got a basic, normal-ass job. She's not a stripper anymore. Single mom. She's got a son. The baby daddy's in jail. Crazy. Doing crazy shit. Being violent. Drug addict. Loser. So she's seen all kinds of darkness and crime, but she's well aware that men are stronger than women. She has no desire to participate in violence or anything. She loves drama because it makes her feel something. Doesn't really drink, doesn't really do drugs, but obviously when she was a stripper she did, and so now she will still dabble, you know. She'll still kind of drink a little bit or whatever on occasion, but not some kind of complete loser drug addict or alcoholic or whatever. Option B. Oh, option A, right? 24 years old. Option B, 42 years old. Half white, half Asian, mixed, super rich. I mean, multi-millionaire family, parents, defense contractor, dad, flight attendant, mom, 800 credit score, Ivy League grad. Okay? Says to you she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Mind you, she's 42. She's got no fucking job. Right? But she's got perfect credit and rich parents. She's never been married, never been pregnant, has no children, right? She says she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. She says she wants to garden and homestead. She's a former personal trainer. She's now living in the Midwest, but she's from Southern California. She's 42, so she's gone through different stages in her life. She was at one stage, she was going to college. After that, she was in a Hindu religious group, which is like a cult, you know, but for years and years and years, she's in the past had mental breakdowns where she's been institutionalized. She's gone through therapy, and now she's all better and she's released and everything, and she's not on any medications, right? Even though she was a personal trainer at the gym, oddly, she's got some strong desire to dominate men, and she believes that she's smarter than everybody because she went to Ivy League school and graduated. She's tested extremely high on all kinds of aptitude tests. She's been told her whole life how smart she is, how good she is, how much better than everybody else she is. I mean, think about the crazy fucking problems that are going to come with option A or option B. That can be very different. But you'd be amazed to find out that these two scenarios end up almost in exactly the same place. So continuing with option B, strong desire to dominate men. She believes she can overcome a man physically. Shit's wild, right? But this is very common. Carries a fucking Rambo knife in her car. Like she's gonna fucking knife fight somebody if they try to fucking rob her or some shit. Owns a gun, can barely hold it, doesn't know how to shoot for shit. Cannabis addict, whole family is alcoholics. Which one sounds better? They both sound kind of fucked up, right? Well, this is the kind of stuff that you have to choose from out there. So you might find out real quickly the one is just a young, hot chick that used to be a stripper that now works at the gym. If you just take that on face value. versus the other one, which is older, been through college, rich family, doesn't really have a job, wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and goes around telling people how she wants to be a wife and a mom and all that, right? These two situations go down almost exactly the same. And so just think about that. Which one of those do you prefer? There's pros and cons to both. Let me tell you, the one that thinks very low of men because she's been programmed that she's elevated her whole life is going to be extremely problematic in various ways. The excessive abundance of resources that she has access to through possession of her parents' credit card makes it easier to allow her to go off and do her own thing and solve her own problems. The other one that doesn't have this ballin' out rich family, that has kind of had a little bit of a rougher go at things, but still decided to go out on her own and be a sex worker and try to, try to establish herself financially by using her sexuality instead of her intelligence, comes with a whole nother set of problems, obviously. But they're going to be very, very different. So be very careful with these things. You'll find out that even though those two women sound very opposite, and on paper they are very, very opposite. One was a sex worker and one went to college. The actual effects of the sex worker experience and the college graduate experience, bro, it's so sad, but they go to almost the same place. And I'll touch on this more in the future. We'll get there. But you want to try to find a woman that doesn't dip her foot into any of those waters. Cover a couple more things here. Women aren't going to rise to the occasion, right? Because you would think, well, if I give one of these girls an opportunity to be with me and everything, they're going to appreciate that and rise to the occasion, right? I could take the sex worker chick, and then if I'm in a relationship with her, she's going to appreciate that and she'll improve her behavior. Wrong. Oh, I could take the Ivy League grad, perfect credit, high intelligence chick who's 42 and alone, and she's going to be super happy that I, allowed her to align herself with me going forward. Wrong. That will not happen, my friends. They are not going to rise to the occasion. That does not exist. That is not in the cards. They will always fall back to their programming, and that is going to be very sad and very painful for you if you allow them to align themselves with you in any way at all. So be very careful. The most effective currency you can use to transact with these women, or any women in between, it goes for all women, is attraction. That's your currency. So you can't treat them well and think they're going to rise to the occasion. That's retarded. Your currency is attraction. So a lot of that comes down to what type of man you are. What type of man you are has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself. How you feel about yourself has a lot to do with, do you actually trust yourself? Do you do the things that you know you should do? And do you not do the things that you know you shouldn't do? And until you get those two pieces of the puzzle under control, you're fucked, homie. And it's your fault. And obviously, option A and option B, these are just examples from my own life, right? I can tell you, I'll be able to share many, many, many more stories about many, many women that fall in between those two extremes. But you have to maintain your attraction at all times, okay? You cannot start to trade in a currency other than attraction by like treating her well or something like that. That's crazy. And whoever taught you that really burned you when they started trying to teach you that, because that's nonsense. So your elevated position of status in the sexual marketplace has to be maintained at all times. You cannot fuck that up. If you even begin to blur that line, that's the beginning of the end. So they want a masculine man, right? What the fuck does that mean? Okay, masculinity is going to be you preserving yourself. As soon as you start to do things that are going to be preserving other people over and above the preservation of your own self, now you're not acting in a masculine way, you're acting in a submissive feminine way. And that doesn't mean you can never do things to serve other people, but it does mean that you cannot abdicate your responsibility for self-preservation in order to elevate other people's preservation above yours. You can't do that. Okay? Don't. Maintain your elevated status in the sexual marketplace. Act masculine by preserving that. And if you preserve that, then you'll be able to maintain this level of attraction that allowed you to get into these relationships in the first place. So don't blow your responsibility and take that off the table. So again, this is why it's going to be very, very difficult to cohabitate with women. That's probably a massive L in almost every case. It appears now that it may be better. I mean, when I say better, I mean more effective in terms of actually having a legitimate, healthy, long-term relationship. That it may just be better to have a serious relationship with a woman, let her keep her own place. If you have children with her, the children can live with her, and there's absolutely no need to get married whatsoever. As soon as you have children, you want to put everything you own in a trust and keep the executor or executors of the trust confidential. That information is never to be shared with that woman under any circumstances, and that's because you are in charge of saving her from herself. She can't do that. As soon as you stop trying to save her from herself, she will self-destruct. And you can blame that on her, but if you took the responsibility and then gave it up, now I'm blaming it on you too, because you fucking blew it. So you have to be respected at all times. There's nothing that can replace respect. That is the foundation of your relationship. If you share a home together, no matter what you do, even if she has never paid a fucking dime towards the cost of that home, as soon as you let her live in your home with you, she's going to be like, oh, this is my home too. And as soon as it's the my home too kind of emotion and feeling starts emanating through her mind and body, now that is very quickly going to turn into this fantasy where you're a guest in her house instead of her being a guest in your house. Massive L. So don't do that. And you might say, bro, they don't think that way. And I would say, bro, they don't think. They feel. It's not the same. They feel, man. They don't think. They don't fucking think at all. They are incapable of delayed gratification. All they can do is feel. They feel this way, so they do this. They feel that way, so they do that. Don't get it twisted, man. If you go around expecting women to think things through and behave accordingly, you are a goddamn fool. I'm not shitting on women when I say this. I'm trying to help you. Ladies, I'm helping you. I'm giving guys the actual blueprint to how to help you so that you don't self-destruct. So like the video. So yeah, bro, they don't think they feel. As soon as you have a child, it's very, very critical that you don't blow this. Okay, and you can commit to a woman. Don't let her in your house. Do not do that. For God's sake. And I already see some of you guys are like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Homie. Your inexperience is showing. It's wide out in the open. You're like a little fawn just prancing through the wide open prairie right in front of a multitude of wolves. And they're looking at each other like, are you seeing this shit? Like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna get a fucking piece of that. You're not Bambi, dude. Okay? You're not fucking Bambi. Don't behave like Bambi. Okay, so can you commit to a woman? Absolutely. You can and you should. But you can't do it overtly by saying that and arranging that. And you sure as fuck can't do that legally by making some type of paperwork that's going to enforce that. That's completely insane and foolish. So if you want to commit to a woman, I encourage you to do so. Here's how you do it. You have to do it in secret. You can do it in your head, and you can do it with your behavior, but you can never do it with your words. What you are required to do with your words, if you want to be able to sustain and maintain a healthy relationship, is you have to use your words to say things to her to make her feel like she's part of a harem. Whoa, that's rough. No, it isn't, man. If you give women complete freedom to do whatever they want to do, they will automatically organize themselves into harems for the top men. That is what they do. Don't be a fucking fool. If you want to have a fruitful, successful relationship, it is your job to make her feel like she is a part of a harem. Does that have to actually be the reality? No. You're going to have to use a little bit of intelligence here to follow what I'm saying and not put words in my mouth that I'm not saying and not make leaps to assumptions that I'm not presenting to you. Okay? So don't be foolish. You want to counteract the destructive effects of making a commitment to a woman by using your words to make her feel like she's part of a harem. And then you will be way more successful. If she believes she still has to compete for you, she's going to be happy. If she doesn't believe that she still has to compete for you, she's going to be sad. So yeah, save her from herself. Don't let her self-destruct. And I'll preach to you here again. I've said this once before, but stop doing business with women. If you want women to be in a better position and you want men to be in a better position, here's a cheat code for you. Stop doing business with women. You fool. What does that mean? Well, that means you are not allowed to buy things from women. If you go somewhere to buy a new truck and it's a woman salesperson, you don't say, oh, I don't want to deal with a woman. I want to deal with a man. You just leave. Go buy a truck somewhere else. I mean, how many dealerships do you think you have to go to before a guy comes up to you and sells you a truck? If you're going to go buy a cell phone, same thing applies. Whatever you're doing, stop paying commissions to chicks. You fool. You're burning your own country to the ground. It's retarded. Now, when you have a business, okay, you can hire women. If you need to use sex to sell your product or your service or whatever it is, then okay, that's a completely different dynamic, all right? But you're not allowed to do business with women in the sense that you're giving your money to them and they're getting commission off of you. Absolutely not. What you are allowed to do is hire women for very low wages, not on commission, where they can be employed by you and experience what it's like for you to be the king and for them to be dependent on you. That's going to be a great dynamic for you. Your relationships there are going to be almost effortless. They'll do what you ask. They'll be enthusiastic about it. They'll feel like they're empowered, and they'll be extremely excited about entering into that business arrangement with you. And until further notice, that's a great dynamic to participate in. So yeah, don't be putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. If you're doing business with women, they're held to almost no legal standard of behavior whatsoever. Their end of the business arrangement is going to be virtually unenforceable. Even in a court of law, they'll be able to use the "I'm just a dumb girl" defense. And you would say there's no fucking way that holds up legally. And you would be right to say that. But I would also share with you that I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter if it holds up legally or not, because it holds up in reality. And you'd be astounded to find out how many judges there are out there that will absolutely find judgments in her favor against you and hold you responsible for her mistakes. That'll be in family court, and that'll be in actual legal court when you're trying to litigate some type of business transaction that went bad. So yeah, there's no enforcement on her end of the contract. It's absolute foolishness for you to get into that. Most business with women is done through marriage arrangements, and you want to completely avoid that at all costs as well. You're guilty until proven innocent in all cases, and if you participate in that, then it's your fault. You cannot blame that on her. Why? Don't ask why. What the fuck? It's too late to ask that. Ask what and how, and then behave accordingly. Okay, so employing women, you got a green light from me to do that. Using sex to sell your products, you got a green light from me to do that. You'll find that that's a wonderful environment to participate in. What you'll also find is that it's a very different experience than with those women than the experience that you're going to have with the women that you are purchasing food for. Okay? Once you start to buy meals for a woman, the temptation to treat you with contempt is on the table. And women cannot resist temptation. Women cannot delay gratification. This is like as old as the Bible, dude. Okay? She is Eve. She will not resist temptation. She will treat you with contempt. She will be an out-of-order woman. She will put herself above you and above God. She will align herself with the adversarial nature of Satan himself, and she will destroy you. And once you've seen this video, if you do any of this shit, it's on you, homie. So don't. Once you even let a woman sit in your car, the temptation to treat you with contempt begins. You want to go on dates? You let her drive herself. I didn't make it this way, man. You want to fuck? You go to her house. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Stop fucking chicks at your house. Stop riding chicks around in your car. Stop doing business with women. And I'm saying this because I love women. I want you to be able to be successful with women and have a family that doesn't fall apart. All right? And take it from me. So here's a quick little checklist for you, just in case you're like, oh man, not all women are like that. Okay, bro. So why is the channel called Gone Legit? Well, I used to be an absolute street criminal for decades. And now I just participate in above board legal business. I don't do anything illegal. I don't do anything criminal anymore. There's plenty of reasons for that. There's plenty of lessons to be learned from that. But I'm going to do a little quick comparison for you, where we're going to take a modern American woman and compare them to a modern American street criminal. Okay? Drug dealers, specifically. People that engage in the black market of acquiring, trafficking, and selling illegal street drugs. So there's categories here. First category is honor. Which one is going to be operating with more honor? A woman or a street criminal? Well, it's a street criminal. And why is that? Well, I'm sure you can imagine the consequences to a street criminal if he is to behave in a dishonorable way. It'll be a very short amount of time before the ramifications of that come back in a very measurable, very painful way. Women don't experience life in that way. They're able to behave in a dishonorable fashion constantly and be reinforced for that behavior. Respect. Who do you think is going to act more respectfully? A woman or a street criminal? You see where this is going? It's a street criminal. And why would that be? Because there's consequences for disrespecting other street criminals. Trust. The most important thing in any business relationship is trust. So who's going to behave in a more trustworthy way? Is it going to be a modern American woman, or is it going to be a modern American street criminal? I'm here to tell you, you can trust most street criminals. And why is that? That's because they can't call the cops to solve their fucking problems for them. They can't use a cell phone to call up an army of law enforcement and lawyers and judges to run you through the mud. They have to handle their shit themselves. Accountability? I mean, that's a joke, right? Who do you think is held more accountable every second of every day of their life? A woman or a criminal? It's a criminal. Let's just take some random things like showing up somewhere on time. Now, if me and you were going to do a deal for $50,000, and people have been killed for a lot less than $50,000, and I tell you to be somewhere at a certain time with certain conditions, like certain people are allowed to be there and other people aren't, like certain type of electronic devices are allowed to be there and others aren't, certain type of cars are allowed to be there and others aren't. Exactly who do you think is more likely to show up on time? It's a street criminal. And why? Well, the theme here is there's consequences. Well, street criminals are dangerous and violent. Sometimes Hollywood lied to you, bro. Is that any surprise? There's roughly 19,000 murders in the United States of America year over year, give or take, right? 19,000. Take a rough, wild-ass guess on how many abortions are performed in the United States of America every year. It's 1 million. It's 1 million. So who's more violent? Who kills more people? Your modern American woman or your modern American street criminal? Don't fucking talk to me about the cartels. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. According to a 2020 Pew Research study, 61% of American women are feminists. 72% of women with a bachelor's degree are feminists. This is like self-reported. This is what they call themselves. Okay? And if you think, oh, well, that's just Democrats or whatever, fuck you, man. It's okay. So yeah, they say 75% of them Democrats and 42% of the Republican chicks call themselves feminists. Oh, well, feminism now isn't the same as first wave feminism. First wave feminism was legit. First wave feminism was Satanism. These bitches that started that and wrote the books on it and went out preaching it to the masses, they blatantly made it clear that they were worshiping Satan and pushing Satanism to destroy our culture and our families. So how the research study should read is 61% of American women consider themselves Satanists. 72% with a bachelor's degree, 75% of Democrats, and 42% of Republicans. So be careful out there, boys. Parting thoughts here for you. There's an unimaginable amount of business transactions that happen on a daily basis in the criminal world that occur without any hiccups, no violence, no dissatisfaction whatsoever. An unimaginable amount of business transactions happen all day, every day. And guess what? None of these guys are killing each other. None of these guys are stealing from one another. None of these guys are ripping each other off. The vast, overwhelming majority of these street criminals are treating each other better than you would be treated in a white-collar business environment. How do I know that? Well, I've also been licensed to sell real estate, property and casualty and health and life insurance in various states in America. I've sat at these tables with these people. We've done deals to the tune of hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. And I'll tell you from personal experience, this is how you know God's a comedian. I can promise you, you'll be treated better by street criminals because the consequences are they're baked into the cake, baby. The threat of potential violence or get back is pervasive at all times. It's constant. Honor and respect are the foundation of the business. The foundation. The foundation isn't violence all the time and instability. No. The foundation is stability through honor and respect. And the solution to dishonor and disrespect is appropriate, immediate, overwhelming violence. And because of that, you're overwhelmingly treated with honor and respect. So it's safer to do business with a street criminal than a woman, especially one that's been to college. Keep your head on a swivel, boys. All we do is win.